Have you ever had a family fight so bad it landed you in the ER, and the very next morning, you were at the bank? That happened to me. I'm 68 years old, and my own son broke my finger because I refused to co-sign a loan for his wife's so-called dream house. The pain was sharp, yes. But the real shock came the very next day, when the numbers at the bank told a story even worse than broken bones. If you think your family's dramatic, just wait. Mine nearly shattered over glossy brochures and a single signature. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Sunday dinners at our house have always been a bit of a circus. You know the type. Steam rose from the roast chicken. Golden skin, crispy at the edges. The gravy boat sat in the center, pooling heat. Plates clattered. Forks scraped. The grandkids shrieked down the hallway, their feet pounding the old wood floors. My son Ryan's voice boomed over the noise. Too loud, as always. Telling some story about work, his hands waving. Amber, my daughter-in-law, fussed with the green beans. Adjusting, rearranging. She did that when she was nervous. My husband poured iced tea into tall glasses. Ice cracked against the sides. The sound was clean, familiar. This was our rhythm. Every Sunday, no matter what. The walls knew this routine. The chairs, the table, even the gravy boat. 30 years of dinners layered into the grain. Then Amber reached into her bag. The movement was quick, deliberate. She pulled out a stack of glossy brochures. They landed on the table with a soft thud, right between the mashed potatoes and the rolls. Her eyes were bright, shining with something I recognized. Hope, maybe, or hunger. She slid one brochure toward me. The cover showed a house. White trim, wide porch, perfect lawn. The kind of house that existed only in photographs. Ryan leaned forward, his grin stretched wide. "Mom, we found it," he said. His voice cracked with excitement. "We found our dream house." The words hung in the air. Dream house. As if dreams were things you could mortgage. Amber nodded quickly, pressing closer. "We just need you to co-sign the loan," she said. "It's the only way." That's when Ryan pulled out something else. Not just the brochures, but actual papers. Loan forms, contracts, pages that smelled of toner and desperation. He placed them in front of me, the signature line glaring up like a trap. He reached for my hand, gently at first, trying to guide the pen into my fingers. "Come on, Mom. It's just a signature. You'll barely even notice it." I pulled back. My hand trembled. "I'm sorry. I can't." Ryan frowned, tightening his grip. "Mom, please. Don't make this harder." His fingers closed around mine, pressing the pen into my palm. Amber leaned in, her voice sharper now. "This is our only chance. Don't you want us to have a future?" I tried to pull away. My chair scraped against the floor. The pen slipped. Ryan moved closer, frustration boiling over. "Mom, just sign it," he said, louder this time. His hand jerked, not in violence but in insistence. My arm twisted awkwardly, my fingers caught beneath his grip. Then it happened. A sharp crack. Immediate. Wrong. My gasp filled the room. Pain shot up my arm, white-hot, blinding. My finger bent at an angle no finger should ever bend. The room froze. Amber's mouth hung open. My husband dropped the iced tea pitcher, glass shattering across the tile. The grandkids stopped mid-bite, wide-eyed, silent. Ryan stared at me, horror washing across his face. "Mom, no God, I didn't mean," his voice broke. "I didn't mean to. But it was too late. The brochures lay scattered, soaking in spilled tea. The dream house smiled up at me from glossy paper, perfect and untouchable. And my hand throbbed in rhythm with my heart. A house I would not sign for. A son I could not protect from himself. And a family dinner that ended, for the first time in 30 years, in silence. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The urgent care clinic smelled like bleach and fear. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Too bright. Too clinical. The kind of light that made everything look worse than it was. My husband drove in silence. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The radio stayed off. Only the engine's low rumble filled the space between us. Ryan and Amber followed in their car. Through the side mirror, their headlights stayed close. Guilty. Persistent. The waiting room was half empty. A man cradled his wrist. A child whimpered in her mother's lap. Everyone here carried some small catastrophe. Mine throbbed in my right hand. The intake nurse barely looked up. She typed my information into the computer. Name, birth date, insurance. The questions came mechanical, detached. What happened? She asked. Her eyes stayed on the screen. An accident at dinner. She nodded. Printed a bracelet. Wrapped it around my wrist with a plastic snap. The band felt tight. Restrictive. Sit tight. Someone will call you. The chairs were hard plastic. Built for function, not comfort. My husband sat beside me, his hand over mine. The good one. His thumb moved in slow circles. A habit from years of marriage. Ryan paced near the vending machines. Back and forth. His reflection moved across the glass front. Distorted. Amber sat with her phone, but her thumbs never moved. The screen stayed dark. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. A door opened. A nurse called my name. Her voice was tired but kind. She led us down a narrow hallway. Beige walls, scuffed floors. The smell of antiseptic grew stronger. Room 4. The exam table was covered in paper. It crinkled when I sat down. My husband stood by the wall. Ryan and Amber hovered in the doorway. The nurse took my vitals. Blood pressure, temperature, pulse. Her movements were efficient. She had done this 10,000 times. Doctor will be right in. Right in meant another 15 minutes. The room was silent except for the clock. It ticked above the sink. Loud, insistent. Each second marked. Ryan finally spoke. Mom, I am so sorry. His voice cracked. I did not mean for this to happen. I didn't mean to hurt you. I only wanted you to sign. Amber's face was red from crying. I should have stopped pushing. I should have listened. But apologies did not reset bones. The door opened. A young doctor entered. She wore blue scrubs and white sneakers. Her badge said Dr. Patel. She looked about Ryan's age. Maybe younger. She examined my finger with gentle hands. Pressing here, there. Checking range of motion. Each touch sent fresh pain shooting up my arm. It is definitely broken, she said. Clean fracture, but displaced. I will need to reset it. She explained the process. Quick, but uncomfortable. Local anesthetic to numb the area. Then manipulation to realign the bone. A splint to hold everything in place. The needle came first. Sharp pinch, then spreading numbness. My finger went cold and distant. Still attached, but not quite mine anymore. Dr. Patel waited for the anesthetic to work. She made small talk. Asked about my evening. I gave her the short version. Family dinner. An accident. She nodded. Did not press for details. In urgent care, everyone's story was condensed. Reduced to injury and treatment. Ready? She asked. The reset was fast. She gripped my finger, pulled, adjusted. A sickening snap echoed in the small room. My stomach turned. Even through the numbness, something deep registered the violation. There. All set. She wrapped the splint. White padding, hard plastic brace, medical tape. My finger disappeared under layers of protection. Stiff. Immobile. Foreign. Keep it elevated. Ice 20 minutes every hour. No heavy lifting for 6 weeks. Follow up with your regular doctor in 10 days. She handed me a paper. Aftercare instructions. Prescriptions for pain medication and anti-inflammatories. Her handwriting was surprisingly neat. Any questions? The question was rhetorical. She was already turning toward the door. Another patient waited. Another small catastrophe. We left with paperwork and a splint. The bill came to $473. After insurance. My husband handed over his credit card without comment. The parking lot was dark. Street lights cast orange pools on the asphalt. Our cars sat side by side. Ryan stood between them, shifting his weight. "Mom," he started again. But words failed him. "Go home," I said. "Get the kids to bed. We will talk tomorrow." Amber's eyes were swollen. She nodded, mute. They climbed into their car. The engine started. Taillights flared red, then faded into the night. The drive home was longer than the drive there. My husband still said nothing. But his silence had changed. Less shock, more anger. The kind that simmered low and steady. Home felt different. The dinner table was cleared. Someone had wiped up the water. The brochures were gone. But the air still held tension. Heavy. Unresolved. My finger throbbed despite the medication. A dull, persistent ache. The splint made simple tasks impossible. Opening doors. Turning on lights. Everything required adjustment. That night, sleep came in fragments. The pain woke me every few hours. Each time, the memory returned. The crack. The bend. Ryan's pale face. Morning arrived gray and cold. Rain tapped against the windows. The house was quiet. Too quiet. The grandkids usually arrived early on Mondays. Amber dropped them off before work. But today, no small feet pounded the floors. No cartoons blared from the living room. The coffee maker gurgled. I poured a cup with my left hand. Awkward. The mug felt heavier than usual. My husband came down, already dressed. He kissed my forehead, said nothing about last night. Some things needed time before words could touch them. The kitchen table felt too big. Too empty. Sundays used to overflow. Now Monday stretched hollow and uncertain. Around 9, Ryan's truck pulled into the driveway. He sat there for a full minute. Engine running. Steam rising from the exhaust in the cold air. Finally, the door opened. He walked up the path slowly. Each step deliberate. A man approaching judgment. The doorbell rang. As if he were a stranger. As if 37 years had dissolved overnight. My husband let him in. Ryan stood in the entryway. His coat dripped rainwater onto the mat. His eyes were bloodshot. He had not slept either. "I need to talk to you both," he said. His voice was hoarse. "I need to tell you something." We moved to the living room. Sat in our usual spots. But nothing about this felt usual. Ryan perched on the edge of the couch. His hands clasped between his knees. The posture of a child confessing. "Amber and I went to the bank this morning," he said. "Before work. We ran the numbers. Really ran them." His voice cracked again. "We cannot afford it. Not even close. The payments alone would bury us. The words hung there. Simple. Devastating. True. He looked at me. Really looked. Not past me, not through me. At me. You were right, Mom. You were right, and I was too stubborn to see it. Rain drummed harder against the windows. The room grew darker. But something else was shifting. Some weight, beginning to lift. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Ryan sat across from me in the living room. Rain still fell outside. His confession hung between us like smoke. You were right, Mom. He said it again, quieter this time. My husband leaned back in his chair. His face was unreadable. Years of construction work had taught him to measure twice, cut once. He applied the same logic to people. Tell us about the bank, he said. His voice was calm, dangerously calm. Ryan pulled a crumpled paper from his jacket pocket. The printout looked handled, folded and unfolded, studied in desperation. Numbers covered the page in neat columns. Amber and I got there when they opened, Ryan began. 7:30. We met with a loan officer. Denise. She seemed nice at first. His hands smoothed the paper against his knee. Trying to flatten the wrinkles. Trying to flatten the truth. I told her what we wanted. $620,000. 20% down. 30-year fixed rate. The numbers sounded rehearsed. Practiced in the car, maybe. In the mirror. Trying to make them sound reasonable. She ran the simulation, Ryan continued. Typed it all in. Then the screen showed us the monthly payment. His voice dropped. $4,200. Every month. For 30 years. The room absorbed that number. 4,200. It sat there, immovable. But that was just the start, Ryan said. Taxes added another 800. Insurance, 350. HOA fees, 200 monthly. My husband's jaw tightened. He was doing the math. Adding it up. The total climbed higher with each line item. Then utilities, Ryan went on. Gas, electric, water, trash. Denise estimated $600 a month. Maybe more in winter. The paper trembled slightly in his hands. Not from cold. From recognition. From finally seeing. So we're looking at $6,300 a month, Ryan said. Before food. Before car payments. Before anything else. Amber makes $42,000 a year, he added. I make $58,000. That is about $8,000 a month total. Before taxes. The math was brutal. Simple and brutal. $6,300 out of $8,000. Before taxes took their share. Denise was kind about it, Ryan said. But firm. She said we would be house poor. Unable to handle emergencies. One major repair would sink us. My splinted finger throbbed. A reminder. Emergencies come unannounced. They do not wait for convenient timing. She printed this out, Ryan continued. Told us to take it home. Really look at it. Think about what we could actually carry. He set the paper on the coffee table. It landed with a soft sound. Barely audible, but heavy. So heavy. We sat in the car afterward, Ryan said. In the parking lot. Amber cried. I just stared at the numbers. The rain intensified. Drops hammered the roof. The sound filled the silence between his words. All I could think about was you, Mom. What you said at dinner. About risk. About jeopardizing what you built. His eyes met mine. Red-rimmed. Exhausted. I did not understand. I thought you were just being difficult. Being selfish. My husband shifted forward. His elbows rested on his knees. But you understand now. Ryan nodded. His throat worked. I broke your finger while trying to force you to sign over a house we cannot even afford. The weight of that sentence settled over us. Violence born from ignorance. Pain delivered in anger. All for a dream that was never real. The bank showed us something else, Ryan said. A smaller simulation. Something within our range. 350,000. More realistic. But Amber looked at those numbers and said it felt like settling. Like admitting defeat. My husband spoke then. His voice was steel wrapped in velvet. It is not settling. It is being smart. Living within your means is not defeat. It is survival. Ryan absorbed those words. Let them sink in. Years of my husband's wisdom, compressed into 2 sentences. When did you two last sit down with all your expenses? I asked. Really list everything. Ryan's face went blank. We have a general idea. General ideas do not pay mortgages, my husband said. Banks do not accept approximations. The truth was emerging. Ryan and Amber had been living on vague math. Guesses. Hopes. Never actually totaling the damage. We need your help, Ryan finally said. Not money. Not a signature. Just help figuring this out. My husband and I exchanged glances. A full conversation passed between us. Silent. Understood. Tomorrow, I said. Bring all your bank statements. Credit card bills. Receipts. Everything from the past 3 months. Ryan looked up. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, my husband repeated. We will go through it. Every dollar. Every purchase. You need to see where your money actually goes. But I have work, Ryan started. Call in, I said. This is more important. One day. That is all we are asking. Ryan swallowed hard. Nodded. Okay. Tomorrow. He stood slowly. The crumpled printout remained on the coffee table. He left it there, deliberately. A marker of surrender. The front door closed behind him. His truck started. Reverse lights flared white. Then he was gone. My husband picked up the printout. Studied it. His face was grim. They have been living on credit, he said. I would bet money on it. I thought of the brochures. Glossy. Perfect. Lies printed on expensive paper. They had been chasing an illusion. And we had almost become part of that illusion. That evening, my finger ached despite the pills. But something else ached more. The knowledge of how close we had come to enabling their collapse. If I had signed, they would have bought that house. Moved in. Then drowned slowly. Month by month. Payment by payment. Until everything was gone. My refusal had felt cruel in the moment. At the dinner table, with Ryan's eyes pleading. Amber's voice insisting. The grandkids watching. But cruelty and wisdom sometimes wore the same face. Night fell heavy and dark. The rain finally stopped. Stars broke through the clouds. Cold. Distant. Indifferent. Tomorrow would be difficult. Numbers did not lie. They would see themselves clearly. Maybe for the first time. The coffee table still held that printout. I left it there. A map of what could have been. A glimpse into the abyss they had been racing toward. My husband touched my shoulder. Gentle. Reassuring. We did the right thing, he said. The right thing. It had broken my finger. Shattered a Sunday. Torn at the fabric of family. But it might have saved them. In the kitchen, the refrigerator hummed. The clock ticked. Ordinary sounds. The house settled into its nightly rhythm. Tomorrow, we would face the real numbers. The real damage. But tonight, there was only silence. And the faint hope that sometimes love means saying no. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Tuesday morning arrived cold and clear. Frost covered the grass. Each blade stood rigid, glittering in early light. The dining table waited, empty, ready to become something other than a place for meals. My husband cleared it completely. Pushed the centerpiece aside. Removed the placemats. The wood surface lay bare. Exposed. Like an operating table. Ryan and Amber arrived at 9. Their arms were full. Folders. Envelopes. Shopping bags stuffed with receipts. The detritus of 3 months living. The grandkids stayed with Amber's mother. This was not for children. This was surgery without anesthetic. Coffee brewed in the kitchen. The smell was strong, necessary. This would be a long day. Ryan dumped everything onto the table. Papers scattered. Bank statements spilled from folders. Credit card bills fanned across the wood. Receipts fluttered like wounded birds. Amber set down her laptop. Her face was pale, eyes shadowed from poor sleep. This was the reckoning she had been avoiding. My husband retrieved his reading glasses. Slipped them on with practiced efficiency. He had done this before. For our own finances. For our own survival. Start with the bank statements, he said. Last 3 months. Checking and savings. Ryan fumbled through the pile. Found the statements. Laid them out in order. October. November. December. My husband pulled out a yellow legal pad. Drew columns. Income. Fixed expenses. Variable expenses. Debt payments. His handwriting was neat. Precise. Numbers demanded respect. Let us see what comes in first, he said. Give me your exact take-home. After taxes. Ryan consulted his last pay stub. $4,100 monthly. Amber checked hers. $28.50. Together, $69.50. My husband wrote it down. Underlined it. That is your universe, he said. Everything must fit inside that number. Now the bleeding, he continued. Fixed expenses first. Rent. $1,800, Ryan said. His voice was flat. Resigned. Car payments? $575 total. 2 cars. Insurance? $300. Both vehicles plus renter's insurance. The pen scratched across paper. Each number a small wound. They added up faster than Ryan expected. Phone bills? $160 for both lines. Internet? $85. Streaming services? Ryan hesitated. Amber shifted in her seat. Netflix. Disney Plus. Hulu. HBO Max. Spotify Family Plan. How much total? My husband pressed. Ryan calculated in his head. About $75 monthly. My husband's eyebrows rose. But he wrote it down without comment. The numbers would speak for themselves. Student loans? $600 combined, Amber said quietly. Her degree in marketing. Ryan's technical certification. Still paying years later. Credit cards. Minimum payments? Another pause. Ryan shuffled through statements. His face reddened. $450. Across 3 cards. The pen kept moving. The column grew. Fixed expenses climbed past $4,000 already. And they had not touched food. Gas. Clothing. Entertainment. Now the harder part, my husband said. Variable spending. Let us go through these receipts. The next 2 hours were brutal. Receipt by receipt. Purchase by purchase. The truth emerging like a body from shallow water. Groceries were not the problem. $250 weekly. Reasonable for a family of 4. But dining out, that was different. Ryan groaned as they counted. Fast food lunches. Weekend dinners. Coffee runs. Pizza deliveries when cooking felt too hard. $800, Amber whispered. We spent $800 on restaurants last month. The number hung there. Undeniable. $800. Gone. Nothing to show but empty containers and indigestion. Online shopping came next. Amber's face crumbled as they sorted through Amazon receipts. Decorations. Toys. Clothes the kids outgrew within months. Things bought on impulse. On comparison. On the belief that spending meant living. 600, Ryan said. His voice was hollow. 600 on stuff we did not need. My husband's pen never stopped. The yellow pad filled with reality. Line by line. Dollar by dollar. Gas for 2 vehicles. 300 monthly. Reasonable. Necessary. But then entertainment. Movies. Trampoline parks. Mini golf. Birthday parties at expensive venues. Another 400 easily. Amber's gym membership. 50 monthly. Ryan's subscription boxes. 40. The costs multiplied like bacteria. My splinted finger rested on the table. A silent witness. I had not spoken much. Just watched. Let the numbers do their work. Noon arrived. The table was covered. Receipts organized into piles. Bank statements marked with highlighter. The legal pad showed 3 full pages of expenses. My husband tallied the final column. His finger moved down the page. Adding. Checking. Double-checking. He circled a number at the bottom. Turned the pad around. 7,300, he said. You are spending 7,300 monthly. You make 69.50. Ryan stared at the number. Amber's hand covered her mouth. You are 600 in the hole every month, my husband continued. That is why the credit cards keep growing. You are drowning and calling it living. The kitchen clock ticked. Outside, a bird called. Ordinary sounds in an extraordinary moment. But that is without the house, my husband added. Add 6,300 for that dream house? You would need 14,000 monthly. You make 7. Amber started crying. Quiet tears that rolled down her face unchecked. She had wanted that house so badly. Those perfect rooms. That manicured lawn. The life that looked like success. Now she saw the price. Not in dollars. In impossibility. Ryan's jaw worked. His hands clenched and unclenched. This is why you said no, he said to me. You knew. You saw this coming. The numbers never lie, I replied. My voice was gentle but firm. Love does not mean enabling. Sometimes it means forcing people to look. My husband pulled out a calculator. Started a new column. Let us find your real number, he said. What you can actually afford. He crossed out the excess. Reduced streaming to 2 services. Cut dining out to twice monthly. Eliminated unnecessary subscriptions. Slashed entertainment to reasonable levels. With discipline, he said, you can save 500 monthly. Real savings. Not credit card debt dressed as living. That is 6,000 yearly, I added. In 3 years, you have 18,000. A real down payment. On a real house you can afford. But 3 years, Amber said. Her voice broke. 3 years of waiting. My husband removed his glasses. Looked at her directly. 3 years of building. Of learning. Of becoming ready. That is not waiting. That is growing. The afternoon light shifted. Shadows stretched across the table. The papers remained. Evidence of past mistakes. Blueprint for future wisdom. Ryan gathered the bank statements slowly. Amber closed her laptop. They looked exhausted. Stripped bare. But something else flickered in their eyes. Understanding. Maybe even relief. The truth hurt. But it also freed. They left with the legal pad. My husband's columns. A map out of the darkness. It would not be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever was. That evening, my husband and I sat in the quiet house. The table was clear again. But something had changed. Something had shifted. We gave them a gift today, he said. Not money. Not a signature. Something better. Reality, I finished. We gave them reality. My finger throbbed. Still healing. Still crooked. A permanent reminder. Some breaks teach you. Some breaks save you. This one might have done both. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. 3 weeks passed before Ryan called again. 3 weeks of silence. No Sunday dinners. No grandkids racing through the hallway. The house felt emptier than it had in years. My finger was healing. The splint came off after 10 days. The doctor said the bone had set well. But the bend remained. Permanent. A crooked monument to that Sunday. Then Ryan's number appeared on the phone screen. Tuesday evening. Just after 6. His voice was different. Steadier. Less frantic. "Mom," he said. "Can we come over? We need to show you something." They arrived 30 minutes later. The grandkids tumbled out first. Their energy filled the house instantly. Laughter. Questions. Small hands grabbing at everything. Amber carried a folder. Ryan held a notebook. They looked tired but different. Lighter somehow. As if they had set down weight they had been carrying too long. The dining table became our meeting place again. But this time, no brochures. No glossy dreams. Just paper covered in Ryan's handwriting. "We have been following the budget," Ryan said. "Every day. Every dollar. It has been 3 weeks." He opened the notebook. Pages filled with columns. Dates. Amounts. Categories. His script was messy but determined. The work of someone learning a new language. Week 1 was brutal, Amber admitted. We fought about everything. Coffee. Groceries. A toy the kids wanted. But we stuck to it, Ryan continued. We canceled 3 streaming services. Started meal planning. Stopped ordering takeout. His finger traced down the page. The numbers told a story. Spending that started wild and gradually tightened. Day by day. Choice by choice. First week, we saved $80, Ryan said. Second week, $140. This past week, $200. $420 total, Amber added. In 3 weeks. We have never saved that much that fast. My husband leaned forward. His eyes scanned the notebook. He nodded slowly. Approval without words. Recognition between people who understood discipline. The hardest part was not the cutting, Ryan said. It was seeing how much we wasted. How blind we had been. Amber's voice dropped. I deleted shopping apps from my phone. All of them. I was spending money just to feel something. The confession hung there. Raw. Honest. The kind of truth that only comes after breaking. We also started something else, Ryan said. He pulled out the folder. Inside were job listings. Printed pages with things circled. Highlighted. I picked up weekend work, he explained. Handyman jobs. Small repairs. Odd projects people need done. Cash under the table, mostly. How much, my husband asked. $300 so far, Ryan said. 1 bathroom sink repair. 2 fence fixes. A deck that needed restaining. And I started reselling, Amber added. Thrift store finds. I clean them up, photograph them, sell them online. Made $140 this month. The numbers were small. But they were real. Earned. Saved. Not borrowed. Not promised. Actually there. Every dollar goes into a separate account, Ryan said. We do not touch it. Do not even look at it except to add more. My husband pulled the notebook closer. Studied the entries. His finger tapped a particular week. You had a setback here, he noted. Thursday. $60 over budget. Ryan's face tightened. The car needed an oil change. We forgot to budget for it. Maintenance, my husband said. You need a buffer category. Unexpected but necessary expenses. Set aside $50 monthly. Ryan wrote it down immediately. His pen moved fast, hungry for knowledge. For guidance. For the framework he had rejected weeks ago. The grandkids played in the living room. Their voices drifted through the house. Happy, unaware of the adult mathematics happening at the table. We also talked to the landlord, Amber said. Asked about renewing our lease for 2 more years. He agreed. Locked in the current rate. Smart, I said. Stability matters, especially while you are building. My splinted finger was gone, but the memory remained. Every time I reached for something, the slight stiffness reminded me of that Sunday, of what almost happened. Ryan noticed me flexing my hand. His expression shifted. Guilt flickered across his face. Still there. Still raw. Mom, about your finger, he started. The break saved us, I interrupted. My voice was firm. If it had not happened, you might have found another co-signer. Or worse, taken a loan you could not afford. That broken bone stopped something worse. The thought settled over the table. A strange kind of grace. Violence that became mercy. Pain that became wisdom. Amber wiped her eyes. We were so desperate, she said. We thought wanting something enough made it possible. Want and can are different words, my husband said. They do not mean the same thing. Ever. The evening stretched into night. We went through their budget line by line. Suggested adjustments. Pointed out places where they could trim further. Or where they needed to spend more. You are underspending on the kids' clothes, I noted. They are growing. You need a realistic number there. Ryan adjusted the figure. Added 30 monthly. The discipline was not about deprivation. It was about accuracy. About seeing clearly. Before they left, Ryan asked one more question. His voice was hesitant. Hopeful. Can we come back next week? Go through it again? My husband smiled. It was the first real smile I had seen from him since the accident. Every Tuesday, he said. Same time. Until you do not need us anymore. But we will always need you, Amber said. Her voice cracked. Not for money. For this. For keeping us honest. The grandkids hugged us goodbye. Their small arms tight around our legs. Squealing. Promising to be good. Asking about next Sunday dinner. Soon, I told them. Very soon. After they drove away, my husband and I stood in the doorway. The night air was cool. Stars scattered across the black sky. Infinite. Patient. Unchanging. They are going to make it, he said. His voice was quiet. Certain. They are learning what took us years to understand. The house settled around us. Familiar creaks. Comfortable silence. We had given them something more valuable than money. More lasting than any signature. We had given them a map. And they were following it. Step by step. Dollar by dollar. Toward a future they could actually hold. My finger throbbed faintly. A phantom ache. Or maybe just memory. Either way, it reminded me. Breaking is sometimes the beginning. Not the end. The dining table was clear again. Waiting for Sunday. Waiting for roast chicken and laughter. Waiting for family to gather around it once more. This time, when they came, it would be different. Stronger. Built on truth instead of dreams. On what was real instead of what looked good. The glossy brochures were gone. thrown away, recycled into something useful. What remained was better, harder one, authentic. A family that had cracked but not shattered. That had bent but not broken. Well, mostly not broken. My finger would always carry that small crook. That permanent reminder. Some lessons leave marks. Some marks become monuments. And sometimes, just sometimes, the things that break us also make us whole. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. 2 months in, the Tuesday meetings had become ritual. Sacred. The dining table transformed each week into their classroom. Our living room, their confessional. Winter settled deeper. January brought snow, the kind that muffled sound and blanketed mistakes. Fresh. White. Forgiving. Ryan's notebook grew thicker. Pages filled with numbers that told a story. Small victories. Occasional setbacks. But the trajectory held. Upward. Forward. Steady. That particular Tuesday, they arrived with something different. Energy. Excitement barely contained. The grandkids bounced more than usual. Even Amber's face held color it had lacked for months. Ryan set down an envelope. Thick. Official looking. He slid it across the table toward us. "Open it," he said. His grin was wide. Genuine. Nothing like the desperate smile from that first Sunday. My husband picked up the envelope. Slid it carefully with his thumbnail. Inside, a bank statement. A savings account we had never seen before. The balance sat at the bottom. $5,300. My breath caught. 5,000. In 2 months. From a family that had been 600 in the hole every week. "We did it," Amber said. Her voice shook. "Every dollar. Every side job. Every coupon. It is all there." Ryan leaned forward. His eyes were bright. "We hit the first milestone. 5,000. Just like we planned." My husband studied the statement. His finger traced the deposits. Small amounts. 30 here. 75 there. 150. A mosaic of effort. Discipline transformed into digits. "How?" I asked. "How did you save this much this fast?" Ryan pulled out the current notebook. The pages were more organized now. Color-coded. Categories highlighted in different markers. The work of someone who had learned to see money differently. "We cut deeper than the original budget," he explained. "Realized we could live on less than we thought. Way less." Amber nodded. "We stopped buying new clothes. Hit the thrift stores instead. Saved 300 there alone." Ryan's handyman work picked up, she continued. "Word of mouth. He is booked every Saturday now. That is another 1,200 monthly." And my reselling exploded, Amber added. "I found a niche. Vintage kitchen items. I can flip them for 3 times what I pay." The numbers were impressive, but more impressive was the transformation behind them. These were not the same people who had dropped glossy brochures on the table. Who had demanded a signature? Who had broken my finger in frustration? These people had been forged, tempered, made stronger in the fire of truth. My husband asked about the credit cards. The debt that had been bleeding them slowly. "Paid off," Ryan said. "All 3. Last week. We are debt-free except student loans." The weight of that statement settled. Debt-free. 2 words that meant more than any house. More than any backyard or school district. Freedom. They had bought themselves freedom. The grandkids interrupted then, demanding attention, asking about cookies. The youngest climbed into my lap, her small weight warm and solid. "Grandma," she said. Her voice was serious. "We are saving for a house. A real one. not a pretend one, out of the mouths of children. She could not have been more than 5. But she understood. The family lessons had trickled down. Even the smallest among them knew the difference between fantasy and foundation. We also made a decision, Ryan said. His tone shifted, became more thoughtful. We are not looking at houses yet. Not for another year at least. Amber picked up the thread. We want to hit 20,000 first. A real down payment. 20% on something we can actually afford. My husband nodded. That changes everything. 20% means better rates. Lower payments. Real equity from day one. But more than that, I added. It means you are ready. Not just financially. Emotionally. Mentally. Ryan's expression grew serious. We were not ready before, he said. We see that now. We were children playing at being adults. The dining room grew quiet. Only the clock ticked. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, snow began to fall. Soft. Steady. Accumulating. That Sunday, Amber asked. I am sorry I pushed so hard. Sorry I made you the villain for doing what was right. Her apology landed gentle. Sincere. No drama. No performance. Just truth spoken plainly. The villain, I repeated. I had not thought of it that way. But yes. For a time, that was the role. The obstacle. The dream killer. But someone has to be, my husband said. Someone has to care more about your future than your feelings. Ryan reached across the table. His hand covered mine. The one with the crooked finger. He held it carefully. Reverently. This finger saved us, he said. I know I broke it when I tried to force your signature. I know I hurt you. But it woke me up. Made me see. The touch was warm. Forgiving. Forgiven. The circle closing. We sat there for a moment. 4 adults. 3 generations of mistakes and wisdom. The grandkids played in the background. Their laughter floated through the house like music. Can we start Sunday dinners again? Amber asked. The kids miss it. We miss it. My husband looked at me. The question passed between us silently. The answer was already decided. This Sunday, I said. But you bring the sides. I will handle the roast chicken. The gratitude in their faces was almost too much. Relief. Joy. The restoration of something precious that had been suspended. Not lost. Just waiting. Before they left, Ryan showed us one more thing. A spreadsheet on his phone. Projections. Month-by-month savings goals. Target dates. House prices in realistic ranges. If we stay on track, he said, we can buy in 18 months. Something around 350. Well within our means. 350, I noted. Not 620. The dream house had shrunk. Or maybe it had simply become real. Dreams do not have to be huge to matter, Amber said. They just have to be true. The wisdom of someone who had walked through fire. Who had emerged changed. Refined. After they drove away, my husband and I stood at the window. Watching the snow fall. Watching their taillights disappear into the white. They are going to make it, he said. Not because of luck. Because they learned. Learning is earned, I replied. Paid for. Sometimes with broken bones and broken pride. My finger ached in the cold. The weather always brought it back. That dull throb. That reminder. But it was a good ache. A useful one. The kind that said, this happened, and it mattered, and we survived it. Sunday would come again. The table would fill. Laughter would return. The grandkids would race through the hallway. The gravy boat would sit in its place. But everything would be different. Built on bedrock instead of sand. on truth instead of pretense. $5,000 sat in a savings account. Not much in the grand scheme, but enormous in meaning. The foundation of a future. The proof of possibility. Ryan and Amber had wanted a house. What they got was something better. They got discipline. They got vision. They got the tools to build not just a home but a life. And they got their family back. Not the family that enabled. The family that anchored. That held firm when the current tried to sweep them away. Outside, the snow continued. Covering everything. Making the world clean, new, ready for whatever came next. Inside, the house was warm. Full of promise. Full of the quiet satisfaction that comes from doing hard things right. My crooked finger rested in my lap. A monument. A medal. A reminder that sometimes the things that break us are the very things that make us whole. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Spring arrived 6 months after the broken finger. 6 months of Tuesday meetings. 6 months of discipline. 6 months of transformation. The cherry tree in our backyard bloomed early. Pink petals scattered across the grass. New life emerging from what looked dead all winter. Sunday dinners had returned to their rhythm. But different now. Quieter in some ways. Deeper in others. The laughter was earned. The peace, hard-won. That particular Sunday in April, Ryan arrived with news. His truck pulled up at the usual time. But his stride was different. Purposeful. Confident. The grandkids raced inside first. Shrieking about something at school. A project. A friend. The chaos of childhood filling every corner. Amber carried a folder. Again. But this folder was thinner. Lighter. No glossy dreams inside. Just paper. Real paper. Real numbers. The table was already set. Roast chicken cooling. Sides arranged. Everything in its place. My husband poured tea. Ice clinked against glass. The familiar music of family. Ryan waited until after we ate. Until plates were mostly empty. Until the grandkids were distracted with dessert. Then he opened the folder. Pulled out a single sheet. Set it down carefully, like it was made of something precious. A bank statement. The savings account. The balance had grown. $11,400. My husband leaned forward. 6 months. 11,000. The math was impressive. Nearly 2,000 monthly. From a family that had been drowning. We hit it, Ryan said. We passed the halfway mark to 20,000. Right on schedule. Amber's smile was quiet. Satisfied. No longer chasing. No longer grasping. Just building. Brick by brick. Dollar by dollar. But that is not the news, Ryan continued. His voice carried something else. Anticipation. Maybe even joy. He pulled out another paper. A letter. Official letterhead from his employer. He handed it to my husband first. Promotion, my husband said. Reading quickly. Salary increase. 15%. 15%, I repeated. That changes everything. Ryan nodded. Starts next month. Another 600 monthly. After taxes, probably 450. The numbers cascaded through my mind. 450 extra. Times 12. 5,000 yearly. Added to their savings rate. The 20,000 would come faster. The house, sooner. But Ryan held up his hand. We talked about it, he said. Amber and me. Long conversation. Hard decisions. Amber picked up the thread. We are not spending it. Not any of it. Every penny goes to savings. My husband's eyebrows rose. Every penny? Every penny, Ryan confirmed. We live on what we make now. The raise becomes pure savings. We do not inflate our lifestyle. The concept was rare, radical even. Most people expanded into every dollar available. New cars, bigger apartments, better things. The raise became permission, license to spend. But Ryan and Amber had learned something different. They had learned restraint, the discipline of enough. This way, Ryan explained. We hit 20,000 by Christmas. Then we start house hunting. Real hunting. With real numbers. 350 range, Amber added. Maybe 375 if we find the right place. But nothing beyond our means. The transformation was complete. The people sitting at my table bore no resemblance to the ones who had broken my finger. Who had pushed, demanded, insisted. These people had been rebuilt. From the inside out. The grandkids asked for seconds on dessert. The youngest spilled her milk. Normal chaos. Normal life. But underneath, a foundation that had not existed before. After dinner, we moved to the living room. The Tuesday ritual had become Sunday tradition too. Checking in, adjusting, staying aligned. Ryan showed us his latest tracking sheet. Categories refined. Expenses optimized. Every dollar assigned. Every purchase intentional. We still have slip-ups, Amber admitted. Last week I bought fancy coffee. $7. Felt guilty for 2 days. $7 is not the problem, my husband said. The problem is $7 times 10 times a month. But once? That is called living. The balance. They were learning balance. Not deprivation. Not excess. The middle path. The sustainable way. Ryan's handyman business had steady clients now. Repeat customers. Referrals. What started as desperation had become expertise. Pride. Craft. Amber's reselling had evolved too. She had regulars. People who waited for her finds. Who trusted her eye. Who paid premium prices for her curation. The side hustles were not just about money anymore. They were about identity. About proving something to themselves. About building lives instead of just making payments. As they prepared to leave, the youngest grandchild tugged my sleeve. Her face was serious. Important child business serious. Grandma, she said, look at your finger. It is crooked. Everyone froze. The room went silent. Ryan's face paled. Amber's hand flew to her mouth. But I smiled. Knelt down to her level. My crooked finger held up for inspection. Yes, I said. It is crooked. Do you know why? She shook her head. Eyes wide. Curious. Because sometimes things have to break before they can heal right. And sometimes they heal different. But different can still be good. She studied my finger. Touched it gently. Does it hurt? Not anymore, I told her. Now it just reminds me. Of people I love. And lessons we learned together. She nodded. Satisfied. Then ran off to chase her brother. Crisis averted. Wisdom dispensed. 5-year-old style. Ryan stood there. His eyes wet. Mom, he started. Do not, I said gently. We are past that. Way past that. But he needed to say it. I see it every day. Every time I look at you. What I did. And I see growth, I replied. Every time you choose discipline over impulse. Every time you save instead of spend. That is what I see. The front door opened. Closed. Their car started. Tail lights faded down the street. Sunday evening settling into Sunday night. My husband washed dishes. I dried. The rhythm of 50 years. Comfortable. Known. His hands in soapy water. Mine with the towel. They made it, he said. Not to the house yet. But to something better. To understanding. Understanding, I agreed. That was always the real goal. The cherry blossoms would fall soon. Carpet the ground. Make way for fruit. The cycle continued. Beauty, death, rebirth, growth. My finger caught on the towel. The crooked part. The permanent bend. It would always do that. Always snag. Always remind. But reminders were not punishments. They were teachers. Gentle instructors. Whispering lessons in quiet moments. That night, I stood at the bedroom window. Stars scattered overhead. The neighborhood dark and peaceful. Houses holding families. Each with their struggles. Their secrets. Their savings accounts and their sorrows. Somewhere, someone was making the choice we had forced Ryan to make. The hard choice. The right choice. The one that felt like failure but was actually salvation. Somewhere, a parent was saying no. And being hated for it. And being right anyway. Somewhere, a finger was breaking. A heart was cracking. A family was fracturing. So it could heal stronger. Better. True. The cherry tree stood dark against the sky. Blossoms invisible in the night. But there. Always there. Waiting for morning. For sun. For the moment when beauty became visible again. 6 months. $11,000. A promotion. A plan. A family rebuilt. My crooked finger rested against the window frame. Cool glass. Warm skin. The border between inside and outside. Between comfort and world. Spring was here. Summer would follow. Then fall. Then Christmas. Then house hunting. Then purchase. Then move in. Then life. The timeline stretched ahead. Clear. Achievable. Real. And through it all, every Tuesday, every Sunday, we would be there. Not with money. Not with signatures. But with presence. With wisdom. With the stubborn refusal to let them fail when success was possible. That was family. Not enabling. Anchoring. Not agreeing. Guiding. Not giving. Teaching. My finger throbbed once. Faint. Almost not there. A ghost ache. Or maybe gratitude. Hard to tell the difference anymore. Either way, it was good. It was right. It was worth it. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. December arrived with snow and silence. 1 year since the broken finger. 1 year since everything changed. The cherry tree stood bare outside. Stripped. Waiting. Resting for the cycle to begin again. Christmas lights blinked along the neighbor's roofline. Red. Green. White. Patterns repeating endlessly. Cheerful. Relentless. Ryan's truck pulled up early that Sunday. Earlier than usual. Before noon. Before the roast was even in the oven. Something was different. The way he parked. The way he walked. The way Amber held the folder this time. The grandkids tumbled out. Wearing matching sweaters. Someone's grandmother had been knitting. The yarn was thick. Homemade. Loved. "Come in," my husband called. His voice carried curiosity. Maybe concern. Early arrivals meant news. Good or otherwise. The living room became the gathering place. Everyone still in coats. Too excited to settle. Too urgent to wait for the table. Ryan held the folder. But he did not open it immediately. Instead, he looked at us. Really looked. His eyes were clear. Calm. Grateful. 1 year ago, he began. His voice was steady. 1 year ago, I broke your finger. Destroyed Sunday dinner. Nearly destroyed our family. Amber's hand found his. Their fingers interlaced. United. Strong. Today, Ryan continued. Today we want to show you what that broken finger bought. He opened the folder. Pulled out papers. Multiple pages. Official. Legal. dense with text and numbers. A purchase agreement. Signed. Executed. Final. My husband took the papers. His eyes scanned quickly. Professional habits. Years of reading contracts. Looking for traps. Finding truth. 365,000, he read aloud. 20% down. 73,000 cash. 30-year fixed at 6.2%. The numbers were real. Achievable. Within their means. Everything the dream house had not been. We close January 15th, Amber said. Her voice trembled. Not from fear. From joy barely contained. 6 weeks from today. Ryan pulled out his phone. Scrolled to photos. Showed us the house. Not glossy brochure pictures. Real photos. Taken by real people. Showing real flaws and real potential. A 3-bedroom ranch. Built in 1978. Needs cosmetic work. Solid bones. Good neighborhood. Decent schools. The backyard was small. The kitchen outdated. The bathrooms needed tile. Nothing magazine perfect. Nothing Instagram worthy. But it was theirs. Earned. Deserved. Possible. It is not the dream house, Ryan admitted. His smile was rueful. Self-aware. It is better. It is the real house. My husband studied the photos. Nodded slowly. Approvingly. This is smart, he said. You can grow into this. Fix it over time. Make it yours without breaking yourselves. The mortgage payment came to $2,100 monthly, Ryan explained. Add taxes and insurance, $2,750 total. Well within the budget we built together. Amber showed us the savings account statement. $22,400. They had exceeded the goal. Saved extra. Built buffer. Prepared for the unexpected. My crooked finger rested in my lap. Bent. Permanent. The monument to a Sunday that had shattered and reformed us all. The grandkids were restless. Asking questions. When do we move? Which room is mine? Can we get a dog? The questions of children who did not understand mortgages. Who only knew that home was changing. That adventure was coming. Soon, Amber told them. Very soon. And yes, maybe a dog. A small one. Their squeals filled the house. Pure. Unshadowed. The joy of people who had not yet learned about interest rates and property taxes and roof repairs. But their parents had learned. The hard way. The only way that sticks. We want to thank you, Ryan said. His voice caught. Broke slightly. For saying no. For holding firm. For breaking instead of bending. Amber wiped her eyes. For being the villain when we needed one. For loving us enough to let us hate you. The words landed heavy. True. Uncomfortable. Love sometimes wore the mask of cruelty. Wisdom sometimes spoke through refusal. My husband stood. Walked to Ryan. Put his hand on his son's shoulder. You did this, he said. Not us. We just held the mirror. You did the work. But we could not have done it without you, Ryan insisted. Without the Tuesday meetings. The budget reviews. The accountability. That was the difference. They had accepted help. Received guidance. Allowed themselves to be taught. Pride had bent. Ego had softened. Growth had become possible. The rest of the day unfolded familiar. Roast chicken. Sides. Grandkids racing. Laughter. The rhythm of family restored and reinforced. But underneath, everything was different. The people around the table had been remade. Tested. Transformed. After dinner, the grandkids played in the yard. Their breath made clouds in the cold air. Running. Shrieking. Alive in the way only children can be. Ryan stood beside me at the window. Watching them. His reflection ghosted in the glass. Older somehow. Wiser. Worn but not broken. That house we wanted, he said quietly. The 621. I drive past it sometimes. It sold for $650. The couple who bought it foreclosed 8 months later. The information settled cold. $650. Foreclosed. The dream house had devoured its owners. Exactly as predicted. Exactly as warned. We would have been them, Ryan continued. If you had signed. If you had helped us get that loan. We would be bankrupt now. Destroyed. The crooked finger throbbed. Faint. Phantom. Memory or meaning. Impossible to separate anymore. Sometimes I wonder, Ryan said. If you regret it. The finger. The pain. The way it all went down. The question hung between us. Serious. Real. Deserving honest answer. Regret, I repeated. Testing the word. Feeling its weight. No. No regret. Pain is temporary. Wisdom lasts. You were worth breaking for. His breath fogged the window. Obscured our reflections. Made us ghosts for a moment. Then the fog faded. We returned. Solid. Real. Present. The grandkids called him. Needed pushing on the swing. Needed father things. He smiled. Headed outside. Leaving me at the window. My husband joined me. His arm around my waist. Familiar. Comfortable. Home in human form. We did good, he said. Not a question. A statement. Certainty earned through outcome. We did what was necessary, I corrected. Good is what they did. The work. The sacrifice. The growth. Outside, Ryan pushed his daughter on the swing. Higher. Higher. Her laughter carried through the glass. Pure joy. Uncomplicated. Free. In 6 weeks, they would move. Start fresh. Build equity instead of debt. Create home instead of chasing image. The Tuesday meetings would continue. Not forever. But for a while. Until the training wheels came off. Until they could ride alone. My finger would stay crooked. The bend permanent. The reminder eternal. But reminders were gifts. Teachers that never left. Wisdom made visible. The cherry tree stood dark against the winter sky. Dormant. Gathering strength. Preparing for spring. For blossoms. For fruit. For the continuation of the cycle. 1 year. 12 months. 52 weeks. 365 days. From broken to whole. From chaos to calm. From fantasy to foundation. The dining table held the empty plates. The remnants of another Sunday. Another meal. Another gathering of the people who mattered most. Houses crumble. Money fades. Possessions scatter. But family forged in fire, tested by truth, bound by love that refuses to enable family endures. My crooked finger caught the last light of afternoon. The bend casting a tiny shadow. Proof of fracture. Evidence of healing. Monument to the moment when no became the greatest gift. Outside, the swing carried a child higher. Inside, the house held the people who had learned that falling is part of flying. That breaking is part of becoming. That sometimes the things that hurt us most are the very things that save us. The evening settled. Stars appeared. One by one. Patient. Eternal. Watching over houses where families struggled. Where parents chose hard over easy. Where love wore armor and called it wisdom. My crooked finger rested against my husband's hand. Bent meeting straight. Broken meeting whole. 2 parts of the same story. The story that started with a Sunday dinner and a refusal. That continued through pain and discipline. That ended with a house that was real instead of a dream that would have destroyed them. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. That was everything.